got caught with the patio furniture, and or he got caught stealing something else, and the person chased him. Mid-year hole in the pants. So we find out later on when he gets arrested. He was basically arrested. I believe it was for something with with the car ring. And he was in either going to court. It was something about being in court. And one of the officers recognized his face from a sketch. And when they must have put up the sketch to his face and whatever, they had a match. And they must have bring the sketch back to the person who gave them the description. This person that gave them the description of AJ was a minor youth who was molested, raped, sexually assaulted. I'm not sure of the details because there was several of these youth. So what he used to do was he would lay wait them. So if a youth would be coming off the bus at a certain time of the night, I don't know how he knew or how exactly he picked his victims and targeted them and knew what time they were getting off the bus or what time they would be walking down the street by themselves. But that's what he would do, is that he would lay wait them and wait for them to be walking down like streets by themselves and pull them away and rape them. And one day my brothers and I, we said, no way, like we have to go to the court and see that this shit is like for real, like that he was really doing this stuff to little boys, you know. Our little nephew that was in the house said that he didn't touch him, but I guess he was too small. He's into teenage boys. He was like into young teenage boys that he could overpower and manipulate and scare, right? So the one story that touched my brothers and I, especially me, was a little boy that just came from Jamaica. And anybody in Toronto, you know that we call them freshies. So he was literally he fresh off the boat, we call them, you know. So he just came from Jamaica to Canada. And oh, I was about to say the street. Came to Canada. And what this guy did to this kid, I mean, even just now, thinking about it, my heart just literally just sunk in my stomach. And he lay waited this little boy to go into like a side door of his building. The little boy wasn't really suspecting anything. And when the door was about to close, he pushed his foot in the door to stop it from closing. Anyways, drag off the boy in some dark corner and rape the little boy, sodomize him. And his signature move was he would bust on them. So after sorry, for the people that don't know what that means, he would ejaculate. So after he done have his way with the boys, he ejaculates on them, and he would take their brief, wipe off his sperm, and take the brief so that they don't have the evidence of his DNA. Anyways, good for the sharp eye detective now what spotted him in the court and said, hey, that guy looks familiar, he looks like the sketch. So somehow now they got to do DNA testing on some fibers on clothes and stuff like that, and it come back say him. So with DNA evidence and everything, with witness statements, you know, big up to all the boys that came forward. We don't know if those are all his victims. It was about 6 or 7 of them. I feel that there was a lot more, but they're scared. Obviously, they're scared. They're embarrassed. They don't know who to tell, if people are going to believe them, things like that. And that's kind of why I kind of gave a history about myself, because, if I went and told my mom, that this happened in my bed, somehow she's going to turn it around. Oh, little girl, are you do this? Are you dressed this way? And are you walking from Taman? Are you? So I knew that I would get the blame. That's why I told the principal. Like, that's why I went to my friends to tell them before telling anybody else, because I wasn't gonna be believed, and I was gonna get like all these fingers pointed at me that it was my fault some way somehow. But it still ended up being my fault. Thanks to my father's sisters, his family, and for them demonizing me for being a victim, and spreading rumors and talking bad about me and the whispering. Anyways, back to AJ. So I'll read you a story. So here you see pervert shifts blame. Let's try to show you the date. Let me try to show you the date. Alright, there we go. Oh shit! Look at that! 999. Holy shit! I never see. Okay, this is a whole other level. I didn't even see that before. I just noticed that right now today. So as you guys can see, it says pervert shifts blame. So I will read it. Dangerous offender candidate AJ is sexually assaulted as a youth and was... Sorry, it's kind of dark and my eyes are kind of bad. Okay, dangerous offender candidate AJ is sexually assaulted as a youth and was... Shit, what's that word? Something that when he terrorized 6 male boys. A psychiatrist testified yesterday. Dr. Mark blah 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 told a court hearing that James blames... Oops. Shit. I didn't mean to do that. That Jay blames his assailant for his sex crimes and said he would have killed him if he could. I'm sorry if I'm reading like an illiterate, but I'm kind of reading in the dark and my eyes are a little, But Dr. Ben stressed Jay also takes responsibility for his sexual spree and admits he ruined those 6 lives. And those are just the 6 boys that we know about, referring to his young victims. Prosecutor Rita wants Jay declared a dangerous offender and jailed indefinitely. James is being sentenced on 19 charges for luring. Remember I told you he would wait for the little boys, for luring the 6 youths into secluded areas to molest them in 94 to 95. And remember, this is just what we know of. Psychiatrist Dr. Philip testified earlier that Jay is in 100% risk category to sexually reoffend within 10 years of release, and under certain tests, he meets the threshold as a psychopath. Dr. Ben told James's lawyer, Steve. This motherfucker got a lot of money off of my mom. The sex offender is not a psychopath, but has a courtship disorder. Raped as teen. Ben said James told him he was raped by a stranger when he was a teen, a pattern he followed years later on his own victims in committing the same sexual acts on them. He said Jay told him he had to do something to get back at the man who attacked him. James, he said, oh shit. Jay, he said, believed that if he committed the same acts, he'd be caught. There was something compelling him, Ben said. He said Jay believed that if he acted out the ritual of what happened to him, he'd get relief from his anguish. Let me read that again. He said he acted out the ritual of what happened to him, he'd get relief from his anguish. I know nobody made me do this, said Jay, was quoted telling his doctor, nobody put a gun to my head, but I blame him, his attacker, for what I did. Z said Jay tricked his victims into going with him to dark, deserted areas, blindfolded, and were sexually assaulted. The hearing continues today. So, sorry that I had to be reading like an illiterate, but I'm bad. I literally have to be holding things to the light bulb to see. So, I said all of that to say this. Please sign this OPM.GOV.JM, because there's people like AJ that have gotten deported to Jamaica, and with all the sexual abuse, assault, rapes, missing children, murdered children. Listen, when I first found out that he got deported, I called the courts and everything, asking them about, if they register and all that. Them time that I wasn't into social work. I wasn't into law. I wasn't into like none of this shit, right? I just always knew that I wanted to do something to help children. I always wanted to go into child psychology, but I mean, that's a whole other story. But, I called the courts. I try to contact whoever to ask, what happens now when he gets, when he goes to Jamaica. And, they basically said, he gets set free. I called people down there saying, but the police don't notify, and they were like, no. So it's like, what the fuck? So when you think about it, it's really scary, because if he was doing these things in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, if something like this could happen to me in my own house, in my own bed in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where I'm born and raised. Mr. AJ was born in Jamaica. The first demon that had ever violated me, he was Jamaican born, and he had just came up from Jamaica, a little bit before the incident happened with me. And I'm not saying that it's only Jamaicans that do this stuff, but this is where the petition is focused on, is deportees that are in Jamaica that have charges against children, that have sex crimes against children, people like AJ who lure children into dark places. He's a predator. He knows what he's doing. They watch the. Oh my. I asked Father God to give me the right words to say tonight to make this video, because I just make the videos in one shot. I don't edit. I don't do all that stuff. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I don't have the, So please, I'm hoping that everyone will sign this petition. And you need to go to your email to check and confirm that you signed it. I have this article based on, I wanted to do kind of like a comparison, but I'm a brethren them still, so I'm not even gonna really get into it. It was just more of a comparison of how sometimes females can play victim. Just very briefly, in this case, I'm not gonna read it, because in this case, what happened was, a group of guys, bunning weed, they're doing whatever they do in the staircase, and they had a girl, and they battered the girl, and I've seen this happen time and time again over the years, and the girl get battery, and the janitor who cleans the building happened to go in the staircase and catch them. So what did she do? She bawled out rape. So when she bawled out rape, police get called and whatever. So these guys, they got it pretty bad. So I kind of wanted to do a contrast, but because the video has gone like half an hour more than what I wanted, but I know that I'm kind of rambling and going on and blabbering about things, but I just want people to kind of have an understanding of where I'm coming from, why I'm saying this. I'm not coming from a malicious place. I'm just not coming out of the blue and trying to destroy people's life and spread rumors and just be a bitch. I'm coming from a place of personal live life experience of what has happened to me, what I've seen, what I know. So I know that there's lots of perverts out there. Um, Growing up, I would hear people say, "Oh, Natty, I get fat, do yeah, I get fat, do," and in my head, I'm thinking that they're talking about fat, like overweight fat. I didn't really understand what that meant until, you know what I'm saying, and a lot of these grown men were men that knew my mom and my dad. There was times where there were certain people um that I don't even know if I should say this because I know that the spies are watching, but there's certain people, big man, you know your parents, whatever, and they're brushing up against you. Brush against your titty them, brush against your body, try to slap you on your leg and, Lord, yeah, I get fat in a girl, and try to do these little slick ways of touching you and things like that. So with my son, I was so paranoid. I would always tell him about these guys that there was this one guy that lived before I moved here. There was this one guy that lived in the building that I know he was trying to groom my son. He was trying to groom my son, and I was telling my son, I said, that's what these guys look for. They're looking for kids like you that don't have a dad and they don't really see no man around, you know and one day my son, I don't know if he did it by accident or on purpose, but he had my iPhone and recorded a conversation, and this guy was, trying to encourage him to, I don't know if he was trying to encourage him to do what I'm call it, child trafficking, like trying to get girls, because and that's a whole other topic. That is a whole other topic. People, I know some people are probably saying, "Oh, that girl I can't chat," but that's another way that a lot of these little girls are getting kidnapped. Um, when I was working up at I'm not even gonna say. When I was working at this agency, and we would see parents putting up pictures in the mall and on the street posts, and we're saying, "Wait a minute!" But we didn't even hear these stories in the newspaper, on the news. All these little black girls, all these little black kids that are gone missing, and you know, I got to start learning a little bit more about certain things that were going on road, and one of the things that some of these guys would do is that they would use little boys like my son, to lure these little girls in, and then if they drug them, whatever, and bring them out of town and prostitute. Anyways, so a lot of times when a lot of parents are thinking that their little girls are missing and stuff like that, you guys gotta check Facebook, your Instagram, Snapchat. I used to go crazy on my son about these things, about these Snapchat and stuff. He loved the internet, and I used to go crazy on him to delete things and don't, ugh. Listen, there's a lot of perverts out there. There's a lot of rapists out there. There's people with bad ulterior motives. There's people that are looking to lure children, innocent children, and children are scared. It's like sometimes when I even think about these things, it's like the feelings it just reignites those same feelings when your body goes numb. You're so scared. You feel the piss coming down your leg. You're so scared. You're numb. You're numb. Like I don't know if you guys ever had those dreams where you're falling or something happens and you're trying to scream and there's no sound coming out of your voice. If you've never been in this kind of position or predicament, then you wouldn't know. You couldn't relate. But it's sad for people that have actually experienced this and they defend people like this. Like my so-called sister and her friends, because they would benefit off of AJ. They would, they're doing their thing. And, they laugh up with him, giggle up with him. And because nothing happened to their boys, they were okay with it. And it's like, what? Are you guys serious? Are you hearing what this guy did to these other little kids? Like, especially this kid that just came up from Jamaica. He doesn't even know Canada. And with not even the kid's not even here a year, not even how much months, and this guy went and did this to this kid. You know how traumatized this kid is? Some people just don't understand. And this is not something that's gonna go away in a week. It's not something that's gonna go in a month. It's something that is with you for the rest of your life. So even if these rapists and these pedophiles and these perverts are going on to these lives where they're having children and wives and working in jobs where these people don't even know that there's some real life demons, that there's some real life monsters, they're real life predators. The way how their mind is working and how their mind thinks. That's why I had to go back and just tell you guys about what happened in the school. Because we used to argue and fight a lot, me and this AJ guy, and everybody used to say there's something about him, but we just can't put our finger on it. He used to deal with my girlfriend back in high school, and even though he was older and everybody would say, what are you doing with him? And because she was Portuguese and he's black, it took a while for her parents to kind of warm up to him. And when her parents finally did get to see him, they would even say there's something about this guy. Everybody would say that, And my oldest brother one day was telling me, he goes, yo, after he got caught and everything, he goes, yo, you know what? He's like, I never wanted to say anything because I didn't want people to think that I was weird. And I was like, what? So I already started to laugh because the way he said it, right? So I was like, what? He goes, yo, one day, he was like, remember when we used to live up at Western Road? And him and the AJ guy used to live in the same little apartment building. And he said that one day he went by AJ's apartment and he was like, yo, sis, his cat, he loved the cat. And he goes, the cat passed by and, the tail went, my brother said, the tail went, like how the cat's tail would like lift up. And my brother said how when the cat tail lift up, how the cat body will tear out. So my brother thought that his eyes were and his mind was playing tricks on him, and he said, "No, maybe that's how it's supposed to look." But my brother said, "No, and it looked normal." So it wasn't until after now when AJ get catch, my brother said, "Oh, and the pussy him did have." No, sir. Okay, I don't know, no. And with the Bible, like, look, I have the Bible right there, so I really don't mean, God forgive me, Father God forgive me. I really don't mean to be cussing and swearing and carrying on. It, but anyways, I'll try to make a part two because this is now an hour. So love, peace, and hair grease, everybody. Thank you for the support. Thank you for a listening ear. Please sign the petition. Please support. Please make sure to check your email to make sure that the signature is on the petition. And just know why you're doing this. Know that you're doing this for children in Jamaica that don't have a voice. And especially that we're living in a different environment. We're living in a totally different. Jamaica and Canada is just night and day. So if things like this can happen in Canada and and in the US and the UK, and people are getting away with it with a slap on the wrist and whatever, and then they're going back to Jamaica, and then the citizens of Jamaica aren't aware that these people have committed these crimes, and they're now in their island amongst their children. And when you think about how some of the children are so free, they're free and innocent. They go out there to play. Maybe their mom is, tell them run down to the store, and then they don't even come back. And it's because of people like AJ, people like people like the demon that victimized me. Please go to OPM.GOV.JM, sign the petition, check your email to make sure that everything is confirmed. If you have more than one email address, you can sign the petition more than one time. I would encourage you to encourage, maybe your children, your husband, your brother, sister, your co-workers, your neighbors, anybody that is willing to sign this petition for support. This is basically to get people that were deported to Jamaica with sexual offenses to be registered, so that the community could be informed and they know that these people are in their island, in their country, on their streets, on their block. So I know this is a long video. This is probably the longest video that I have on YouTube. There's so much more that I have to say, and I would just like to thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. Love, peace, and hair grease, everybody. A biento. Good night. One love. Peace.